Hey there, welcome back. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've got a process going on right now. Okay, like I said, this is a work in progress right now. I pulled out some plants that I don't really want in there. I've got to clean all that up. So some family members gave us this trellis and they said, do you want it? And I was like, I have no idea where I'm going to put it, but we kept it for, I don't know, 6 months to a year before I finally found the right spot for it. And I was like, oh, I knew I was going to use it for a trellis, but I didn't know if I wanted to kind of have it be a little bit, look like it was kind of like a piano hinge type thing. But I decided to put it right here. Let's just go ahead and get it in. Let's just go ahead and get it used. And then a friend of mine gave me these right here. Let me show you. So these were some old, I don't know where she got this from, but I like it. It's distressed looking. And I love it. I had it, I can move them around. So last year I had some volunteer tomatoes come up right there. So I had put them up there, but I decided just to go ahead and put it in here. We'll see. What you see right here is oregano. And I just planted these from little bitty plants. Let me show you. I had to plant one this year because I just didn't. I just forgot to plant it. But I planted the ones that you just saw, they were this size when I planted them. In 1 year, then they got to be this size right here. And again, I kind of call the oregano plants kind of a parterre. I kind of have an alley situation going on right there. But this is the place where for my guests or invitees or for me to step. It's very obvious where I want them to step. And then I come in here. It's such an oddball looking thing because this one will grow up and it'll fill in though pretty quick. But then I have some of these plants that I pulled out. What you see here is a lot of cilantro. I just threw a bunch down on the ground. I'm kind of cover cropped in the cilantro, but I've been pulling some things out just because I need to plant some more stuff in here. So here is another look. Let me go from a different angle so you can see it better. Well, you can see how tall it is. I'm standing up straight. I think I used to be 5'7". I think I've shrunk. But you can see it's about 12 foot tall. And so with indeterminate tomatoes, that's why I don't like tomato cages. First of all, they don't work. They just don't work because they're not tall enough. On the other video that I did, I show how I planted all of my tomatoes along the fence line. And this is just another place that I have them. So I'm going to be putting, I want to say Brandywine tomatoes in here. And then I'm also going to be planting some cucumbers in this area as well. And then I'm probably going to poke some peanuts in around it for nitrogen fixation and just do a little bit more companion planting. But speaking of companion planting, this is what I've got going on right now. This is some sweet alyssum. That it's something that really attracts ladybugs. The ladybugs love it, and a lot of other beneficial insects. And see that one right there? That is the Brandywine tomato. I bury it all the way up to the neck, and I am planting the plugs. So they're just really small right now, but they're going to fill in really fast. And then on the other side, so this is the back side. Let me get back out again so you can see what it's going to look like as we're coming up to it, okay? Just ignore the tractor and the hoses and the bucket. I'm using those to plant into. But this right here is just kind of a secret back way. The grandkids love coming this way. But this is what you see when you come up. So you'll see this carpet of snow, and then all of the tomatoes is really more like a vine. They're just gonna grow up. And then they go up past 12 feet because they're indeterminate, and then they'll come back down, and then they'll start growing down more that way. And from the other side, this is what you'll see. So I'll be planting my cucumbers and some other kind of companion plant along here. I haven't decided yet what I want that to be. I really don't worry about putting exactly what all the textbooks say that you should put as your companion plants next to your stuff. I mean, I've got a wild area back here. I've got plenty of beneficial insects. I'm just not that worried about it. I'm not worried about whether or not I should put marigolds next to my tomatoes. I just have marigolds throughout my gardens. Everything is just all mixed up unless it's for an aesthetic reason. And I love this carpet of snow. Now, on the last video that I did, I talked about the establishment guilds, all the different niches. And one of the niches that I forgot to mention that I like to include is a water indicator, like a moisture indicator. And for me, Sweet Alyssum is a really good one. Sweet Alyssum likes it moist. And if it starts to look kind of like it's suffering or it's not getting real full and lush, then that means that it's not getting as much water as I know Sweet Alyssum likes. And it doesn't mean that I'm trying to keep the Sweet Alyssum looking lush and beautiful. It's just giving me an idea of what's going on down there in the soil. I could do the same thing with Wandering Jew. I don't know, different plants that I know really thrive in a high moisture area. But I also know that I like to stop watering my tomatoes after a certain point. I don't like them to get too much water because that really dilutes the sugars and it makes it have a tomato have a really bland taste. So I just kind of use it instead of a meter that you push down in the ground and it goes like this and it tells you how much moisture you go in there. I'm just watching the Sweet Alyssum. I'm reading the landscape and I'm letting it tell me what is going on in the soil. I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna kind of show you what's going on. Again, we have just a lot of cilantro going on here. We've got a pecan that just kind of volunteered and grew up on its own because we have all these pecan trees right here. They just dropped their nut, and which is the seed, and planted it right there. And I thought, you know, I think I'm gonna let that stay. So besides the oregano, which I've used for an alley or a walkway, a parterre, I also have salvia, I have some wild rudbeckia, I have some mint, more salvia, peppermint, more, let's see, I have some snapdragons that I planted last year that are coming up on its own. But like I said in the last video, I want snapdragons everywhere. So I'm going to be filling in the holes. But I really think I'm going to be doing the same thing here. I'm going to be putting in some daintier tomatoes that, you know, like a cherry tomato or a pear tomato, but just a smaller tomato. And I'll put it in right here, and I'm going to be putting that Sweet Alyssum on the border here. Now there's mint, salvia, forget-me-nots, snapdragons. Everything is definitely a polyculture going on right now. So I did pull out some of this mint. I just pulled it out and I potted it up, and I'm gonna make some more mint for other parts of the garden. But yeah, so that is what is going on. I'll be doing the same thing on this side. I might even want to put some kind of a fountain in that area. But as far as what else I'm gonna plant in here, last year I had corn in here, I had beans in here. But this year I think I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna be putting my corn in other parts of the garden, and I think I'm gonna do a lot of sunflowers in here. I want a lot of cut flowers this year. So I put squash in here last year too. I basically did a Three Sisters garden in this area, but I'm gonna put my squash somewhere else this year. And this bed is still a bed in transition because I kind of used this bed as kind of an annual bed before, and I just put in a bunch of perennials this past year, and I think that's why it's still in transition. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this space right here yet. Let's go into the greenhouse and see what else I could put in there. I could still put in a lot of basil there, peppers. I could put in peppers over there. I could put in some thyme, which is a perennial. Let's see. The onions and potatoes have already been planted. I could put in more. I love coming in here and shopping. I could put in some more chamomile. I could put in some kohlrabi, definitely peppers. I could be putting in some chives, baby's breath. Oh, these lettuce. I've got to get those in the ground. More forget-me-nots, borage, carnations. I have a lot of cut flowers going on. Let's see. Celery, calendula. Here's the mint that I potted up yesterday. Just pulled it out of the ground and just stuck it in a pot and made sure it was really well watered. It's kind of in shock right now. Kind of like when you take a fish out of one tank and put it into another. But it'll perk up and it'll be just fine. Some tarragon, some more bok choy, I could plant that there. Some bachelor buttons, some dill. Definitely gonna put some dill in there. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see. Some gazania. I'm not sure. I just don't know. I don't know that I want to do moonflower, but that's it. I need another place to put some edamame and peanuts. So I've been looking for a place to put more edamame and more peanuts. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plant some peanuts and some edamame in there and some peppers. So anyway, that is what's going on. I just thought I'd show you my Super Duper Tomato Trellis. And that's just one of the places that I'm going to be growing some tomatoes. That's vertical space, that's not tomato cages. I have tomato cages, I don't know, in the barn somewhere, but I don't use them. I just don't use them anymore because they just don't work for me. With an indeterminate tomato, which I believe an indeterminate tomato is better, it tastes better, it's prettier, it just does better, it's more lively, it's more robust. I just don't like tomato cages, so I'm always looking for vertical space to do something like that. But in another video, I'll show you some of the other places that I do tomatoes without tomato cages. I grow cage-free tomatoes, I guess you could say. I love this. And this is a hand-me-down. This is something somebody gave us. It just didn't work for them for whatever reason. So yay, score. All right, until next time, bye for now.